Most of you have heard many stories about Christmas and Santa Claus and flying reindeer. But not many have heard the story about the year Santa almost quit. Oh, sure, you've heard stories about the Christmas that almost wasn't, but this tale is much different. You see, Mr. Kringle had a midlife crisis. For most people, those come somewhere in their 40s or 50s, but Santa's happened when he was 222 years old. This story takes place in the 1900s during the boom of the computer generation. We join St. Nick on the day after Thanksgiving, 1995. Most people know this day as Black Friday.
Ho, ho, ho! Ho, ho, ho! Oh, hi there, Charlemagne.
Actually, I go by Charlie now.
My apologies.
Some of the guys were wondering when you were going to give the order to start work on the toys?
Oh, yes. Don't worry about it. I'll let you know soon enough.
Yes, sir.
Santa looked at himself in the mirror and tried to smile, but no matter how hard he tried, the smile would disappear. To truly understand what he was going through, you must realize that Mrs. Claus had gone to visit her sister in Vermont, and children had turned to the internet to do their Christmas shopping. People were shutting themselves off from the rest of the world.
Oh, fiddlesticks. What's the point? Children don't remember.
Over the next few days, Santa became more and more depressed. Elves were constantly approaching him, asking him questions, but his responses were short and curt. Mr. Claus, I was wondering if you preferred the red stripes on white background or white stripes on the red background.
You decide, Samson. I trust your judgment.
Santa, cities all over America are falling below 50% nice. What are we going to do?
Don't worry. Old St. Nicholas will take care of it.
A few more days passed, and Charlie decided to try one last time to get things moving.
Sir, we're all waiting on your orders, but you still haven't given them to us. It's December 4th. The 3-week countdown has begun.
Oh, Charlie, you truly are a good friend. But unfortunately, there will be no Christmas this year.
What?
You heard me. Christmas is canceled.
But Papa, Christmas!
Charlie, I need you to tell the rest of the elves that we're done here. They should all go home to their families.
No!
I said,
Santa, we've been through tough times before, and we've always pulled through together. This isn't any different.
Kids don't believe anymore. How do you continue to cater to someone who doesn't even believe?
Just because they don't believe doesn't mean you don't exist. This isn't a fairy situation here.
What's the point? Have you seen the list this year? I had to check it not just twice, but 3 times to make sure I was reading it correctly. 42% nice?
It's better than nothing.
I'm done.
Give me 1 week.
To do what?
To get the list back above 50%.
Fine. 1 week and then send everyone home.
Charlie went back to the barracks and rallied the troops. Operation Save Christmas from Cancellation was in full effect by midnight that very night. Charlie tried to go back and talk to Santa, but St. Nick had locked himself in his room and was drinking heavily. Empty eggnog cartons littered the floor outside his room. The next morning, Charlie and 100 other elves set out into various countries to try and bring nice back into the world.
Okay, elves, here's how it's going to work. Australia, Ireland, and America have the lowest numbers. These are where we will infiltrate. Be careful, these are the naughtiest places on Earth.
What about Detroit?
That's in America.
Of course, my apologies.
Move out!
The elves took off with a shot, ready for anything to come their way. They knew they could not fail or Christmas was doomed. A few elves stayed behind just in case Santa decided to come out of his room. Snow date 3-1 Bravo Candy Cane. I, Captain Bravemore, along with my team, have arrived in Sydney. The air is still, the natives, hostile. We only have 5 days to save Christmas. We are outside of an opera house watching a group of kids graffiti the side of the building. We will be moving in 3, 2, 1, go! Retreat!
My eyes! It's in my eyes!
Captain's log. We have been attacked. The paint is very painful and such a dreadful color. We will regroup and try again soon.
Meanwhile, in Ireland.
We've been walking in circles for hours. This is getting us nowhere. We need to find humans.
Hi there, little man. How are ya?
Are you a leprechaun? Oh, did I just catch myself a wee leprechaun? Oh, by the divines, I'm rich.
Sir, we are not leprechauns.
Oh my, there's a whole bushel of you.
Oh, this is me lucky day.
I didn't want to have to do this.
What did you do that for? That really hurt.
Move along or I'll go for your other ankle.
All right. No need to be mean. Evil little leprechaun.
All right, now that he's taken care of, let's head toward those lights. It's probably a town.
Meanwhile, in America.
This house is home to the worst child in America. I figure if we could get him to change his ways, a whole lot of other kids will follow suit. Wait, he wanted a suit for Christmas? It's an expression. Never mind. Are you ready? Yes.
Charlie and his band of elves lowered themselves down through the chimney and came out in the living room. They made their way through the house until they reached the boys' room.
Okay, he's asleep inside. Let's move out. What did this boy do that was so bad?
Even as Joseph asked the question, he knew the answer. Strewn throughout the room were broken Christmas lights, angels with their heads torn off, and even stuffed elves with pins and needles in them.
We gotta get out of here, man. This kid is sick.
Pull yourself together, man.
The horror! The horror!
Suddenly, something was stirring, but it wasn't a mouse. The elves craned their necks to look up at the bed where the young boy was sleeping and saw him tossing and turning. And his eyes were opening. Charlie rushed under the bed and the other elves followed.
What are we gonna do?
Shh. Sorry.
Back in Australia.
I have several men down. I need reinforcements. That's all we got. How embarrassing for us. Fine, I'll make it work. Thanks for nothing. Men, we are going to have to buckle down and get this job done. There are no reinforcements. We're on our own. Let's get some sleep and regroup in the morning.
Aye.
The elves all slept that night and dreamed of sugar plums bursting in their heads. When they awakened, their resolves were stronger than ever to save Christmas. Unfortunately, due to random happenstance and sheer bad luck, they were unable to make any progress for the next 2 days. With only 3 days left before the death of Christmas, the elves tried different tactics.
In Ireland.
Okay, here's the plan. We are going to drop down chimneys and leave teaser gifts for the boys and girls to remind them that Santa is real. If this doesn't work, may Christmas have mercy on our souls. The elves slipped in and out of chimneys like happy ghosts in the night. They hoped they would be able to convince the children that Santa had brought them gifts, and as they shimmied up the last chimney, a light went on in a house. The sounds of gleeful children filled the night air, and the elves smiled and headed home.
The North Pole.
Santa sat in front of his mirror with a quart of eggnog hanging limp in his right hand. Suddenly, there was a ding, and Santa turned to the table that held his list. He got up and walked over. His eyes lit up slightly. He checked it twice, and a small smile found its way to his lips. The number was up to 44%. There was a knock at the door. Santa's smile went away, and he harumphed back to his seat.
In Australia!
Captain Bravemore was in the middle of town, and he was standing on top of a statue, looking out at a group of people standing before him. I figured if anyone would believe, it would be you lot.
What?
Seriously, this paradise started out as a penal colony, but you believed you could make a better place for yourselves. You were told that winter was in December, but you believed it was in June. Is it so hard for you to believe that Santa Claus is real? And he wants you to be nice to each other?
Aussie, Aussie, Aussie! Oi, oi, oi!
That's the spirit. Now bring it home.
Aussie, Aussie, Aussie! Oi, oi, oi!
North Pole!
The list's numbers changed again. They now read 46%. But Kris Kringle was not convinced. He was tired and was actually starting to look forward to a vacation. But something inside him had begun to stir. His beard became a little whiter, his belly a little fatter. His cheeks burned red. He walked to the door and threw it open. Elves stood there waiting. He invited them in and showed them the list.
So Christmas is back on!
Not quite. We have to reach 50%. I cannot justify Christmas without the majority.
The elves hung their heads and sauntered out of Santa's room, leaving Santa alone and lonely once again.
In America!
Charlie and his group of elves were still under the bed. They were growing very hungry because it had been 6 days stuck in this bedroom trying to figure out how to change this boy. But the last night was coming, and a plan was forming.
Are you ready for tonight? Joseph, that's a lit ball. Leave it alone.
But I'm so hungry.
Tonight we change the world. Tomorrow we shall feast.
Tomorrow. It's 24 hours away.
The light switch clicked in the room, and the elves were thrust into darkness. They waited for nearly an hour before putting their plan into motion. Moving out from under the bed, they grabbed headphones and a CD player. They slipped the headphones over the boy's head and played soft Christmas music. Then they began to talk to him.
We want you to be nice. Santa wants you to be nice.
Your mom and dad want you to be nice.
Stop terrorizing your stuffed toys. They have done nothing to you.
These are not the droids you're looking for.
Joseph. Sorry. Be nice to the kids around you. One day they could be your boss.
Be nice to your parents. They love you.
Be nice to yourself. You deserve to be loved.
The elves continued speaking to the boy for many hours that night, and stowed themselves into his backpack so they could see if their plan had worked. The boy went to school, and halfway through the day, the last day given to the elves to complete their mission, the boy confronted a small, timid young man. With the boy was his gang of cronies. One of them pushed the young man to the ground, but something passed through the boy's head. Instead of kicking the young man, the boy held out his hand and helped him up off the ground. The boy's gang was surprised at first, but then they gathered around the young man and apologized and brushed the dirt off of him. The elves smiled and rushed home to the North Pole.
North Pole!
Santa was in his room. The elves waited patiently outside his door. Charlie made his way through the mass of elves. Murmurs went up throughout the crowd, but Charlie didn't knock. Instead, he pushed a small, nearly invisible button, and a small door opened. He entered the room of Father Christmas. Santa looked down at Charlie with sadness in his eyes.
It hasn't worked. We have only reached 48%.
That's close enough. It has to be.
I'm sorry, Charlie. I'm retiring.
Papa Christmas, you can't do that. Maybe 52% of the people around the world are on the naughty list, but that means that 48% of the world is nice, and that makes up for all the naughty. If you quit, the naughty ones win. You exist because of the 48%. They are counting on you. Don't let them down.
Santa hung his head, but a smile spread across his face. He began to chuckle, and that spread to a chortle, which became a giggle, which turned into a full-belly laugh. And here's the thing about Santa Claus. His laughter is contagious. No one can be around him when he is laughing and remain sad. The elves started to laugh. The reindeer joined in, and even the penguins chittered.
Charlie, you're right. Christmas is back on, and it's going to be the best one yet. I will leave all the details up to you. I have some cheer to spread before the day arrives. Thank you for believing in me.
That Christmas, more joy was wrapped in the packages he delivered than any other Christmas before. When people opened their presents on Christmas morning, they burst out laughing and started dancing. By the end of the day, jolly old St. Nick's cheeks were so red he could have guided his own sleigh. And here is the wonder of it all. The joy of giving, especially to those who had been naughty, had somehow caused the nice percentage to soar to an all-time high. That was the last year Santa bothered with such a silly list.